Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jay. If this is your first time here, welcome. And in this video, I want to share with you some guidelines to consider to avoid seller's remorse. I am guilty of this, and so I want to be able to share with you some tips that maybe can help you to make a decision or not. And if you do, you are confident with that decision to sell. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. Okay, so the first one is why. And I would suggest for you to take your time with this, because sometimes we act too quickly and we just say to ourselves that we need to sell it for whatever reason, and then we post it, it's sold, and now we have to deliver. So you want to make sure that you consider all options. It could be that maybe your lifestyle is changing, or maybe you want to, minimize your collection, or it's a piece that you probably have in a different color or print, or maybe you just don't use it. So it's important for you to take your time with this. I'll give you two tips. The first one is to take the item and put it in a place where you're not going to see it for maybe a week or two. If you don't really think about it, it could be a good indicator that maybe it's time for you to sell. Another thing is to maybe take a sheet of paper and just list the items that you do have in your collection, and add next to that the price that you paid and the frequency of use. I think this is really important, because then you will visually see which ones you use all the time and which ones you don't. It is very helpful. So it's something that I would definitely suggest for you to do, but make sure you take your time. The second thing is to determine which one or brands you do want to sell. Now, a couple of things that I want to talk about regarding this. Once you have a brand in mind, go ahead and do your research. Keep in mind that not all the luxury brands retain their value. You have the classics like the Chanel, the Hermes, and the Louis Vuitton, depending on the style, of course. You will be able to get at least most of your money, or probably more. It all depends on the silhouette. But for example, a brand like Prada or Gucci sometimes will have something out in the market that doesn't do too well, and maybe about a month or two it's on sale. So I would suggest to go to the online retailer stores like Nordstrom's and Neiman's and Bloomingdale's or Saks, and just kind of take a look at that retail price at the moment. This way you get an idea. So let's say, for example, it costs you maybe $1,500, and then you're gonna go, after you research it on those websites, you're gonna go to a website like, where they sell pre-loved items, and you might see a difference in price, maybe $500 or $600. It can go that deep. So just make sure that you do your research first, so this way you kind of get an idea on how much money you can expect to gain from that sale. Another thing that I would suggest once you have made the decision to sell something is look at the details of the piece. If it's a particular handbag and you can see some visual wear and tear, see if maybe you can take pictures of it, or go to a local leather shop and see if maybe they can repair it. Sometimes the cost of doing that is better, and then you can then sell it and get more for your money. They do miracle work, because I have taken quite a few pieces and they have made it look amazing. So that is something to consider. Okay, so the third one is where to sell. And this can be tricky, but also can be a little fun. And what I mean by that is, once you have that piece and you're ready to sell it, I always suggest to go to like your friends and your family and just let them know that you are maybe considering selling this. This way you kind of buy yourself a little bit of time. Then I would go ahead and post it like on Facebook, on Instagram, and anything that's kind of free at the moment, because the last resort is for you to take it to some of these websites like Fashion File, and you will have to pay a fee. So if you do the process of going through your friends or maybe Facebook or Instagram and you don't have a sale, I would then go, before going to Fashion File, I would go straight to eBay. I love eBay for this, because up front you're not going to pay a lot of money in terms of fees. I once sold a piece on eBay. It took me quite a bit of time, but the good thing was that I still had time to reconsider if I wanted to sell it, and if I did, I really didn't have to pay a lot of money. I just had to pay a few basic taxes, but that was about it. So I love eBay for that. So make sure that you do your due diligence and that you have an idea as to where you want to sell it. Now, once you do have that, also I want to share to have a lot of details pertaining to that item. So what I mean by that is the packaging, if you have any tissue paper, and receipts. Receipts are a good way for you to show to the potential buyer that it is authentic and that it's something that you purchased at the store. For example, I purchase all of my items with a credit card, and I do that for this particular reason, because sometimes when you pay cash or you buy it from a pre-love, you're not really going to get that receipt that you might assure yourself and that potential buyer that it's real. So I usually have a credit card on file with these stores like the Louis and the Chanel's, and if I do miss my receipt, or maybe I misplaced it or I lost it, whatever it is, I can always go back to the boutique and they're able to print the receipt. So as if you have all those details, it's really, really important. Also pictures, I think all of us can agree. If you want, I would also suggest to do a video, because with the video, you're really going to capture any flaws and of course the beauty of the silhouette. Okay, so number 4 is guilt. And this is something that I want to talk about because sometimes we feel guilty for owning these luxury handbags, and other people like to talk. I don't know what it is about the whole luxury world, but we, and us and the community that love luxury handbags, we're targeted for whatever reason, and I just don't get it. I think that, when somebody sees you rocking a Louis Vuitton or Chanel, they can label you and say that you're materialistic and you only like luxury handbags. There can be a lot of things. I don't think that you should feel guilty. I don't think that you should allow these people to get in your head, and don't be embarrassed. I have experienced this in my personal life, and I have seen it from other friends where they're like, well, I kind of don't want to, take that bag out because I don't want them to think that that's all I care about, and, I'm too bougie. Like, whatever that means. Be proud of it. Like, if you worked hard for it and you earned it, why not? Like, don't feel guilty about it. So just keep that in mind, because those outside noises shouldn't motivate you to sell something, because definitely that would trigger you to have seller's remorse. All right, and the last one is probably going to be an exception to all of these guidelines, and that is an addiction. And a lot of people might think that this is kind of crazy for me saying this, but it's the truth. Social media tends to have a very powerful impact on a lot of us, especially when it comes to luxury goods, and sometimes we get into a lot of trouble, especially financial. So I'm not here to really tell you what to do with your money. You can do as you wish and manage it. I always say that luxury handbags are a want, it's not a need. We don't need, all of these designer labels. We don't need 3, 4, 5 bags. We don't need any of that stuff. It's all personal preference, but don't get into debt for this. I would never ever tell anyone to do that. You will get in trouble. This goes back to what I said at the beginning of the video. I was in that situation a long time ago and had to sell everything because I did. I was charging things that I wasn't really thinking, and next thing I knew, I had thousands in credit card debt. You have to keep in mind that if you're doing that, you're not only paying the price for the bag, you're paying the state tax, plus you're paying interest. So as long as you have your basics covered in terms of financial, and you have everything in place, and your financial life is organized, and you save and you pay for this stuff, amazing. But if you are in that situation where you're in the red, and with everything going on now, our economy is taking a hit globally, it's going to take some time. So don't be in debt for this, and if you are, I would then suggest to sell, because let me tell you something, you have exquisite taste, and we all do, all of us that love luxury handbags. This stuff is going to be around for a long time, and when I sold everything and started again, it took me years and a lot of money to save, but I wanted to make sure that my financial situation was organized and was in order before I started treating myself to these luxury handbags. Alright guys, so I hope that these guidelines were helpful. I hope that you were able to learn something. Please feel free to share your thoughts, or if you sold something and you have seller's remorse, please share it with all of us. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please make sure to give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet already, and I will see you guys very soon.